This is Indiana Hoosiers Live right here on the Voice of College Football. This is the first ever live bi-week extravaganza. We have a very, very, very special guest
The
in
third
the building.
ever bi-week extravaganza, first one live on YouTube.
First live.
So very exciting. Yeah, it's like a carnival.
And we're not going to waste any time getting to it. We have the best damn lawyer in the land, Brian P. Lauten. Brian, welcome to the show.
I appreciate y'all having me, and my self-esteem is skyrocketing.
As it should. No, as it should. And we got into it a little bit before, but you're super excited to talk about the case. You feel like it's been a little bit misrepresented in the media. We're super excited to talk about the case just from, people watching it from afar and trying to kind of understand exactly what was happening. And so I guess to lead in and just start you off, what exactly was Lewis Moore fighting? Because from the outside, it looked like the NCAA told everybody right around when they told Diego Pavia he could play, what was it, like January or something, that blanket statement, all these guys are good. And then in like June, it seems like they rug pulled about 75 to 80% of those guys. So would that be an accurate takeaway? Like what exactly was he fighting against?
No, that's a really good question. Look, first, thank you guys so much. And I told y'all before we got on your show that I am so wildly impressed by the fanaticism of Indiana football, because it reminds me so much of my home state of Alabama, and I didn't think anybody was more fanatical than we are. And I figured out that we've met our match. So kudos to Indiana. So yeah, it's a great question, and it drives me a little crazy because it is very esoteric. The whole Sherman Antitrust Act, it's very cerebral and academic, and it's very easy to read the paper and think, oh, this guy's trying to game the system. He's trying to play 3 more years because he went to 3 years of JUCO. That's not the case at all. And I can't underscore that enough. And here's what the real issue is. And the NCAAs, they've serially lost this issue because they should. What they're doing is illegal. And it's this. The NCAA bylaws, and particularly I think it's NCAA bylaw Rule 16, and what it says is that no one can play more than 4 years. Everyone knows that. But what the rule does is it says that no one can play more than 4 years within a 5-year window. So the issue is, when does that 5-year window start? Well, here's where the NCAA's gotten in trouble, and they just really need to change the rule because they keep losing, and they should. What they're doing is they're starting the clock when someone enrolls in junior college. So in other words, if you go to junior college for a year, you have no chance of playing 4 years in NCAA school. The JUCO schools are not members of the NCAA. So because the clock is starting when you attend a JUCO school, what they're doing is they're ostensibly discriminating against non-NCAA schools and basically dissuading these student athletes, many of which need to go to JUCO, whether it's for academics or they're not ready for a 4-year school, or whatever the case may be. They're basically penalizing them from going there and dissuading student athletes from going there and persuading them to go to an NCAA institution by penalizing them for not going there. So it hurts the JUCO schools. It hurts the student athletes who want to attend those. But more importantly, it strips that athlete of an extra year in an NCAA school. So I want to be real clear about this. This is Lewis's 4th year playing. It's not his 6th year. It's not his 7th year. This is his 4th year. This is his last year. The issue is they started the clock on him, the 5-year within a 4-year window, when he enrolled. Now, albeit it is true that he attended a junior college for 3 years, everyone got a blanket waiver during COVID. Everyone. The NCAA said, we're not counting this year. That happened when Lewis was at JUCO. So that's out. The 2nd year he was there, he got a medical red shirt. That year's out. He didn't play. He only partially played for 1 year. But because they started the clock on him, that 5-year window, it wasn't that he's trying to get extra years. He's trying to get his 4th year. And so that's what happened with Pavia, and that's what's happened with multiple athletes. And I can't say enough good things about this guy. He's one of the best clients I've ever represented. The guy's a leader. He's a class act. He calls me sir and Mr. Lauten. I'm like, look, man, I'm Brian. And he has got so much humility And I'm proud of him, and y'all should be proud of him, your fan base, your students, your school. He's just a wonderful guy. I hope that provides some color to what happened. And I'm happy to, if you want me to talk about the Antitrust Act and explain all that, I'm happy to do it. But that's I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to say.
What's interesting is that I thought there was a new ruling where JUCO didn't count anymore toward that. Like I thought that was a new thing. It sounds like it was always the case, as long like that wasn't a new thing. People just were discovering that that's they were reading the rule a little bit better. Sounds like that's what you did. Now they're taking advantage of that new knowledge, right?
That's pretty accurate. I would qualify that by saying this. The rule hasn't changed. They've had the eligibility 5-year clock within 4 years.
Hmm.
The NCAA has continuously and systematically applied that rule to JUCO colleges, which are non-member NCAA institutions, and that's why they get in trouble. Well, the reason this all created a firestorm is, and I don't want to get too deep into academic law, but the short story is this. When the U.S. Supreme Court decided the Alston case, everybody knows that case where they've read or heard of it. That's the case where the U.S. Supreme Court said name, image, likeness is not something the NCAA can take away from a player. They're entitled to be compensated for that. It created a First Amendment issue on the right to receive payment. So now all of a sudden, these are student athletes. They're not employees of the NCAA. But they've now got a constitutional right to be paid their name, image, and likeness. They have the right to pursue NIL deals. Well, if the NCAA has rules that limit or restrict athletes who attend non-NCAA schools from pursuing those deals because they're being unfairly penalized from a non-member NCAA institution, that is a Sherman Antitrust Act. It's about competition in the labor market. And so, but because money's fair game now, that's why the whole Antitrust Act, monopoly, having some body manipulate the market being competitive student athletes, right? The only way to get to the NFL is through Division I football. So if you strip someone from that and they're not employed by you and they have a constitutional right to pursue a contract, make money, etc., that's where the NCAA's got in trouble. And unfortunately, and this is what really drives me crazy. I'm not talking too much, but this is what drives me crazy is this. Even if the NCAA is right and we're wrong, forget what Judge Tillery did. Let's just suppose hypothetically that Judge Tillery was wrong and that the NCAA is right. So what? The NCAA has lost these other cases.
Mm-hmm.
So if hypothetically Lewis wasn't allowed to play, how is that fair to Indiana when Diego Pavia had the exact same issue, but he's playing Indiana? Or Bustard, who's playing at Eastern Michigan? Or Bram, who's playing at UNLV? So all these other athletes who have won against the NCAA are getting to play. So if the NCAA had prevailed in our case, it still creates this unfair advantage where these other schools have gotten those athletes on the same circumstances to play. So it creates unfairness on top of unfairness the way they're defending these lawsuits, if that makes sense. I hope it does.
Yeah. And I think it's a good fight to fight because there's might not be, there's a lot of external factors that might affect a high school recruit to end up going the JUCO route, and to have them stripped of eligibility to finally break through and make it to the NCAA and make a career for themselves. It really is unfair, because there might be external factors that, whether it's a high school injury or maybe they weren't, the best student at the time, that limited them from or they were just under recruited. No one knew who they were. It really allows those players to get an equal opportunity to, play their dream of playing Division I or just an NCAA sport.
That's 100% accurate.
And then I'll say, because you kind of made the point of even if the NCAA were to win, you look at the other players around college football who were granted eligibility. I was having a hard time trying to figure out what the NCAA's argument was. It seemed like at times they were fighting just to fight. There were times, and you were literally there, where they were talking about JUCO, saying how it did matter. Then Judge Tillery said it didn't matter. Then they're saying, okay, it actually never mattered. So What exactly were they trying to fight? What was their case?
It's a great question, and the phrase I used with Judge Tillery was, they've inserted new lyrics in old tunes because they're recycling the very arguments that were rejected by a federal judge in Pavia, that were rejected in Buster in the Eastern Michigan case, that were rejected in Bram, the other NCAA case, rejected. And there's a more recent case out of Michigan. So they're not. They're basically arguing all these other courts that ruled against them are wrong without saying that there's some new nuance or new development in the law. But to your question, they're basically arguing this. They're arguing that there is not a antitrust violation because there's not harm to the market as a whole. In other words, Lewis Moore, whether he does or doesn't play, doesn't impact the market being Division I athletes in football who are seniors. But that legal argument has been rejected, and understandably so. And I'll try to dumb it down the easiest way I can. My understanding is that, look, I'm not an expert on y'all's football team, but here's my loose understanding. My loose understanding is y'all got a safety that's injured, or redshirt, or someone got hurt. Mm-hmm. And I'm not knocking on other football players. My understanding is there's a younger football player that statistically at least is not as high caliber as Lewis. So the point being is this: if Lewis were removed from the market being D1 athletes who are seniors or fourth-year players, more experience, are starters, really good at what they're doing. How many safeties are there in Division I football right now at his level? Probably not very many. And of those, only a few get to the NFL, and only a few can get there. You only get there through college football, right? D1 football. So if he were disallowed from playing, hypothetically, that would take the most qualified athlete at that position in Indiana and remove them from pursuing an NIL deal, right? Because NIL is tied to NCAA participation. So they can't participate, they can't get the NIL deal. If they can't go through D1 football, they can't get to the NFL. So it's removing a market participant. And that's the harm. That's the antitrust violation. The NCAAs wanted to say, well, it doesn't harm the market as a whole because some freshman could start at that position, or some walk-on, or some sophomore. But the problem with that is that's not an apples to apples comparison, right? We all know that the most experienced players get the highest NIL deals. Arch Manning's an exception, right? The people with the most experience get the best contracts. I mean, Ty Simpson, for example, at Alabama, his NIL deals are way different this year than last year where he didn't play at all, or his sophomore year. So that's the difference. I hope that makes sense. It is a very academic type argument.
It makes complete sense. And if you take Lewis Moore off this defense from two people who've watched all of Indiana football snaps this year, yeah, it's a completely different defense. It's not even the same defense.
Especially with Bryson Bonds out.
Right. But that's the rub of the whole thing. And yeah, it's I don't want y'all to get me started on the NCAA, but I'll tell you. I feel like that scene, A Few Good Men, where the young Marine says, "Can I speak freely?" they are an awful organization, man. I'll tell you, when you start peeling that onion back, I mean, this is a small group of not that many employees. I'm not telling you they're not good people. I'm not telling you they don't work hard. But, man, they came down to Texas and San Antonio and made a fortune off the Final Four. A fortune. We're talking about, we don't know the exact numbers. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in Texas this year, 2025. And then they come into a Dallas court saying, oh, we're not subject to jurisdiction here. We just make hundreds of millions of dollars here. It's just very offensive.
Was it hard to not lose your mind sitting in the courtroom listening to that? Because I'm seeing that come, like Michael Nizolik was an all-star during this, reporting all of it live from the courtroom for us to see. But like, I'm sitting there reading that going like, how is this even how is this the argument?
Well, I'll tell you, and to be fair, their lawyers are outstanding. They're high caliber. They're great lawyers. The argument they were making on jurisdiction was completely in good faith. It was a very good argument. And they were able to make that argument because, without getting too much in the legal mumbo jumbo, the U.S. Supreme Court has written some law on situations where, when companies, and the NCAA is not a company, it's an unincorporated association. And an unincorporated association means the members. Well, Dallas Baptist is a member, SMU's a member, Baylor's a member, Texas is a member, Indiana's a member, Notre Dame's a member. All the schools you can think of are members of the unincorporated association. And they were able to persuade the U.S. Supreme Court in a different scenario than that type of situation, like for a corporation. Well, if they're really everywhere, you can't sue them everywhere. Is it really where they're, quote, at home? And that was the argument they made. It was very nuanced, very intelligent, very creative. Absolutely a wonderful argument. I'm talking about conceptually, big picture. I take issue with the NCAA saying you don't have jurisdiction over us when you came to Texas and San Antonio this year, this basketball season, and probably made $300 or $400 million. I don't know what the number is, but you can look up. I mean, the CBS contract, for example, on the Alamo Dome, the TV sharing for the Final Four, the amount of money we're talking about is insane. It's insane. And they've kept that money from the student athletes for all these years. And now they're still not giving up on something this basic with Lewis. So I've got pretty strong feelings about it, you can tell. So.
I think we all have the same type of sentiment toward the NCAA, especially with the whole NIL dispute over the years. I think it really just left a bad taste in people's mouths that they kept fighting that fight for, what felt like a decade plus. With student athletes saying they were struggling to eat, things like that. Northwestern players going public. I think we all remember when that happened, about those types of things. So I think that sentiment for the NCAA is nationwide.
Yeah, and I'll just the only other thing I would add to it is this. When you're talking about getting an injunction, which is a fancy way of getting a court order that prohibits someone from doing something, in this case, a court order that prevents the NCAA from enforcing that rule, a big part of that is proving that the person, in this case, the plaintiff, Lewis Moore, would be, suffering irreparable harm. It was undisputed that if he had been found ineligible, which would have been the outcome if Judge Tillery ruled against us, because they could have enforced the rule, he would have been off the team. He would have lost his scholarship, I'm sure. He would have probably been subject to having to rescind or pay back the NIL deal he did get. The lawsuit and his uncertain future kept him from getting other NIL deals 100%. He would have lost the ability to continue to pursue a business degree at Indiana, and y'all know that y'all got the best business school anywhere. He would have lost the right to play college football, which would lead to a Division I, a potential NFL deal, and the harm is immense there. And I asked their expert who came to, and by the way, and this really grinds my gears, the NCAA didn't even have a client at the hearing. They didn't have a corporate representative there. They didn't have a soul from the NCAA. Not even a person saying, "Hey, I'm here on behalf of the NCAA." I do. No one even showed up. And I asked their expert. I said, and he didn't expect the question. I said, "Can you tell us how the NCAA will be harmed if Judge Tillery does not grant this injunction?" And he's like, "Oh, never been asked that before." And he said, "Well, these student athletes, blah, blah." I said, No. The student athletes don't work for you. They don't work for the NCAA. They're the ones that are antagonistic with you. And I said, is anybody in the NCAA going to lose their job if he doesn't get to play? Is anybody from the NCAA are they going to default on the loan on their building or their rent if he gets to play? Or is anybody going to lose their 401k or their? It's not going to harm y'all at all, but it's going to destroy this kid. And
yeah,
that's just very distasteful, in a court which is supposed to be a place of fairness.
Completely agree. You talked about the injunctions. Was it frustrating to get the first one and to get the second one, or was that kind of procedurally how you expected it to go?
No, I have nothing but glowing things to say about Judge Tillery. He did everything by the book. He works so hard. I mean, he gets there at 7 a.m. He stays till 7 p.m. I mean, he is a hard worker. And what I loved about what he did is he gave the NCAA every shot to put on every argument they wanted to. So there's no going to the Court of Appeals and saying, oh, he committed error by not letting us do this or that or chicken fat. He gave them a full hearing on everything before he ruled. So that's important to trial judges, is to make sure everybody gets to bring potentially an appellate court a complete record. So he did a masterful job. I applaud our court. I mean, he got it right. And, only other thing I would say is, we didn't ask to put him out on a limb. Half a dozen courts have already resolved this in favor of the athlete on the exact same fact scenario. And all they brought to him were the same arguments these other judges rejected. So that's why I just think what the NCAA is doing is very distasteful. And that's not on the lawyers. They're doing what the NCAA tells them to do. But eventually, they need to come around and just fix the problem instead of fighting these individualized lawsuits they continue to lose.
Yeah, to answer Keezer's question from before, it does sound like they were just kind of fighting it to fight it.
Right.
And it sounds like that was the case with a lot of others too.
Yeah, and that's what I told our judge. I said, Judge, if you rule against us and you agree with them, Judge Tillery went to Texas Tech. I mean, hey, let me tell you something. Texas, we love football here. I said, how would that be fair to the University of Texas or Texas A&M or Baylor or SMU? Let's assume he was going to those schools. How would that be fair to that school if Diego Pavia gets to play for Vanderbilt or Buster gets to play for Eastern? How is it fair to basically reward these other athletes who got in front of judges that agreed with them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how's that fair in this case to Indiana? And I think that's their problem, is they've got a very myopic approach and they're not looking at the big picture. So I think they've created enormous money animosity with student athletes, and they've earned it.
I would full blown agree with that statement, and most of it self-inflicted, which is the most frustrating part. So would you say, did you have a pretty high confidence level after Judge Tillery said he was going to give a ruling at the end of the day?
I had a very high confidence feeling from the moment we filed it and landed in his court. I've known Judge Tillery a long, long time, and he is a well-regarded jurist. He's very fair. He's very practical. He's very big picture. And look, Lewis is not some stranger to Dallas. I mean, this kid went to Poteet High School in Mesquite. That's 15 minutes from downtown Dallas. Navarro Junior College is, an hour south of Dallas. I mean, he's a Dallas County voter. I mean, he's part of the fabric of our community. I mean, if you live in Dallas County, he's the kind of guy you want to go see flourish and succeed and hopefully come back to our community. So, I mean, we're fully invested in him and in the bigger scheme of things. And I just knew that we were going to get a fair shake with him. And if you're right on the law and you're right on the facts, that's a dream scenario, is just getting in front of a fair and impartial judge, which is what we had. So,
yeah, I have a question that's about Lewis Moore, really. It's a little football related. If you had a chance to catch him play in the Iowa game, what was your reaction when you saw him make that huge interception?
Well, y'all aren't going to like this, but to be honest, we couldn't get the damn game on.
It was on Peacock. That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I looked, and of course, Tennessee and Ole Miss is the ABC game. I think Notre Dame was on. There was another game. I went through all 400 channels I've got, so I saw the play after the fact. Not long after the fact, my phone was blowing up. I did see it. I just didn't see it real time. But I am so proud of him, and I really, I know that, fans of college football, we think we know these players and what they like, and we really don't know them at all. We know what we see in the paper. I know Lewis And I just can't tell you what a wonderful guy he is. He's selfless. He's polite. He's a gentleman. He's an asset to that school. We represent a lot of people that are difficult to represent in my job. And he was a pleasure to help.
It's great to hear. Sounds like a true Indiana Hoosier in my book from what you're describing.
He's just a class act. And I predict that he's going to be wildly successful, whether it's in the NFL or in life or whatever dreams he pursues. He's going to be wildly successful. I predict that.
Love that. Brian, I do have one last question for you. I know you touched on it at the very beginning, but I do want to ask you again. Were you expecting or anticipating the outpouring of love you received from Hoosier Nation, both during the case, like following the case, and then in the aftermath of it?
No, honestly, I was completely shocked, and it's wildly flattering. And I'd like to take this moment to use your forum to thank all the people that said all these nice things on Twitter, all these people that have emailed me. I've probably gotten over 100 emails from people I don't know, fans. And I think I told y'all before we went on that I never realized. I know y'all love your football in Indiana, but I didn't realize it was on the fanatical level that, we have at Alabama where I grew up, and I was wrong about that. And it's really kind and humbling. And I really appreciate the support. I mean, a lot of people don't like lawyers, but people don't understand how many late nights we work, how much time we spend from our families, the sacrifices you have to make to try to be prepared on a super high level, do the best you can for people. And we rarely ever get thanked. And so it was very moving, and I'm just very grateful to the Indiana fan base and you guys. It's kind of overwhelming, honestly, but I really, really appreciate it. And I know that Lewis does too. So thank y'all very much.
Of course. And the Indiana Hoosier fans, if there's one thing they know how to do, it's an outpouring of love and support for somebody who they feel deserves it. And you got some people in the chat too. Matt Till says, thank you, Mr. Lauten. If you ever find your way to Bloomington, I promise you'll never have to pay for a drink. Brenton Fender says, thank you, Brian. John says, Lauten just might be MVP this year.
Well, tell those guys that I am going to come at some point, but I'm going to buy the cocktails. My credit card's got quite a bit of depth on it, so I'm happy to volunteer for that.
Love it. Well, like I told you, me and Brad will be out there for the UCLA game, so hopefully we see you out there.
Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it. I was honored to be on your program, and I'm following y'all's team every week. Go Hoosiers, and thank y'all for having me. I'm very grateful.
Of course, and thank you for your time, effort, and energy. Greatly, greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Brian.
That was Brian P. Lauten, Lewis Moore's lawyer, who beat the NCAA, won Lewis Moore his eligibility.
Boom.
Big time. Just a good guy too. Just a football fan through and through. You can tell, and just like somebody who's got dots his T's or dots his I's and crosses his T's and knows his stuff. And glad to have that guy on our side.
Yeah, you did a great job explaining it to our viewers.
Yeah, and great job explaining it to me too. For somebody like who really enjoys this kind of stuff, like the like understanding the law and the nuances behind it. So these are really interesting conversations for me. But we're not stopping there, Brad. This is the bye-week extravaganza. Not one guest, but two guests. Ooh. Our guy Jamie Jordan, I've been seeing react to, I'm assuming, is the Red Sox game down here. So we're bringing him in. Jamie, please tell me good news. Yeah, we can hear you. Jamie,
okay, because
please tell me good news.
Crochet here. Okay, well, Crochet just got hosed on a strikeout call, strike 3 call, 115 pitches. So I'm like,
he's still pitching?
That's insane.
He's still out there.
What's this? Have we scored?
Hold on, I'm checking too.
Yeah, it's 2-1 Red Sox.
Oh, wow.
Yoshida came through with a huge two RBI single.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he almost just hit him. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I apologize.
No, this is good. It's the bye-week extravaganza. Anything goes.
Anything can happen. I just want – I'm going to take a quick second to pat myself on the back here because I promise I was as locked in as one could possibly be on speaking to Brian Lauten, and I did not check the game score once. The Red Sox are in the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, and last time the Red Sox were in the playoff, I was literally in Fenway Park. So – I'm kind of losing my mind right now, but the fact that, Jamie, fellow Red Sox fan, bringing the good news, but like, I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to talk to Brian P. Lauten. Dude's a super.
No, I just wanted to. Can I just give my 2 cents really quick? I caught like the last 10 minutes of that. That dude is legit, and he was right. I mean, everything that he was saying. I mean, just as a fan, obviously of IU, you tend to agree with it. But the NCAA had no. I mean, as he was saying, they didn't even have anyone there representing them, saying who was being harmed. It was a ridiculous case, and they seem to just be trying to fight all these cases just to fight them and just to, and it makes them look silly. So,
it's gross.
Anyway,
they're just kids, they're just kids trying to play the game that they love, at the end of the day. It's really they would play,
not only that,
NIL wasn't on, they'd still play for free,
I agree, but NIL is part of it, and Lewis Moore is making a lot of money. And if he's going to have to, I thought the biggest point that he made, at least to me, as a now 41-year-old man, if I was playing something, he has busted his rear since he got back to IU, and he's being paid like that. If he had to repay that, that's disgusting. That is insane to me. So anyway, that was my biggest takeaway, was that I wasn't sure if that was actually going to be part of it, but the fact that he would have to, potentially pay back money that he's already earned, that he worked for, that was that hit home to me, which is just a person like that. That's just not cool, man. So really happy, and I great job with the questions, because I was sitting here while I was watching the game on the other monitor here. I was laughing.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that there was a couple points where I caught the side eye of you in the monitor, and your reactions were giving me the good energy I needed to keep going and stay focused.
I wasn't sure if you guys could see me down here, because I was my cat was yelling at the door, and I was I'm clapping, and I'm walking over here so that I'm not on camera doing, because I wasn't sure if you could see it, and I'd be distracting to you guys. But anyway, hell yeah,
it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, great work though.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome. And Lou Moore, he was awesome. Again, he's one of IU's best players, and he's one of IU's most important players.
Yeah, and
they would be in a very, very, very rough spot if he wasn't playing. So
we'd be looking at Garrett Reese, Jaja Boyd in the safety backfield if
I know.
And those guys, sure, they're great players, just don't have the experience that the other guys, and we all know
they're also young.
He likes to play the more experienced guy.
No, I totally agree. And Lewis Moore, just to give you guys, he's the 4th highest graded PFF player on IU so far this year. I'm trying to quickly pull it up here, at a 79.5. But he's played 236 of 266 total snaps, and obviously, and that includes they were up by 40 plus points on multiple teams this year. So 3 games were absolute blowouts, and he's still out there. That shows you how important he is and why he needed to win the case, and why I'm so happy he did win the case. So
100%. Well, he's there. I think he's still their leading tackler. He's tied for the team lead in interceptions. And just to have an adult like that in the back end, where if everybody else messes up, that guy can just cover it, that's just knowing you have that is like having a closer. It completely changes the way you can think about your defense. And if you look at the Indiana defense, they've been able to create so much havoc with their front 7 because they don't have to worry about the back end.
Totally agree. And just to hit home the point on Lou Moore, 40th overall of any safety in college football graded by PFF this year. So he's an integral part of what they do, and he needs to be out there, and he should be out there, and I'm glad he's out there. So very, very, very happy that you guys had him on.
Yeah, and if I was an NCAA athlete looking for in that same position, that would be my first, second, third, fourth, and fifth phone call is to that demon that we just had on. That guy's not losing. That guy's not losing. Are you kidding me? No chance. We have quite a bit of smoke actually to get to. I'm going to speed run it. I'm excited to have both of you guys to bounce this off of, because it'll be 2 differing perspectives. The first one, and I'm really excited, Jamie, to get your take on this. There's been a lot of people misunderstanding Indiana's bankroll. And there was an awesome tweet from Big Ten Information. I always forget the name of that account. I think it's genetics something. But he said that
some random guy.
Yeah, he just loves the Big Ten.
Legit. Yeah,
that dude just loves the Big Ten. He just loves the Big Ten conference. He's one of my favorite. Recently, one of my favorite follows on Twitter. he said that in his deep dive, Indiana is the team that's experienced the most growth from 04 to 2024 in terms of like athletic spending.
I mean, that makes total sense to me, considering, I mean, I've been a fan basically that long, essentially. I was a freshman in 2002. If you've seen what they've done to the entire, I mean, when I was there, the stadium wasn't even closed in at all. So, like, to fast forward to now and to have it completely enclosed, and then to not only that, to spend the money that I mean, they said Lewis Moore was making $300,000. Lewis Moore is a starting safety, but that means that the spend that they're doing just on NIL for some of the other guys. I mean, it's impressive, and I keep seeing you getting into it with people talking about how, people are like, well, Cignetti is going to leave. I just don't. There's no way that unless IU stops supporting the football program like they have, and I don't see why they wouldn't, considering what's been happening with the football program. I don't see him leaving. There's no reason for him to leave. So
they're literally printing money right now.
100%.
Right? I mean, I know.
Yeah, and I saw another thing. I'm going to answer the question. I saw another thing where they're outspending 11 out of the 16 SEC teams, and if you told anyone in the South that, I think they would call bullshit on it. They wouldn't believe it, but that's the facts. That's the reality, and it's really only like they outspend Bama, which is insane to think about right now. They're basically, it's really just the Texas schools that are outspending them right now, and Tennessee.
Well, and just to hammer home that point, like, you have to think about it. Like, the money was on the sidelines at IU because IU has a lot of rich people that want to give to the program, but they're not going to do the used car salesman thing of giving a kid $40,000 at a Denny's. Like, they're just not going to do that. That's not how they operate. And so you see when you have people like the Simons, and you have people like Mark Cuban, and you have, the PFAS, or however you say their name. Like, you have all these people, Fuzzy Zeller, who lets them use their Fouls, that use their phone or use their plane. I mean, they have people that wanted to do it. They just weren't going to give the money when it was weird to give money. So I think now that it's like kind of out in the open, you're seeing with other schools, like, can Alabama keep up with schools like Indiana? Like, they probably have a similar amount of money now. Like, I don't know. Does Mississippi State have more money? Right? I mean, like, IU is
UNLV is a sleeping giant. I'm telling you.
Right. But you're totally right. In the big areas, I mean, like, obviously Texas A&M, even TCU, schools like that.
Yeah.
Even
SMU.
They're
Texas Tech.
Dallas, they're Texas Tech, even Oklahoma has some big donors. Even Oklahoma State has some big donors. But my point is more that, like, it's even the playing field, and we're seeing it like every week, basically. This is what's happened since NIL has become legal. The North is coming back. It's not everyone just going to the South in football. So,
they just like the weather down there, Jamie. You didn't hear?
Exactly. No, I know.
The days of Nick Saban Bama and even like early Kirby Smart Georgia, those days are done. I really don't see that type of domination from a single school year in and year out. Now, we're seeing a very dominant Ohio State team this year, so they could prove me wrong in the short term. But in the long term, there's just too much going on elsewhere in the country for
there's a ton of
like that to be sustainable.
So but I think it's better for the sport. I think it's good 100%. For college football that there's a ton of parity. Like, it's good that Indiana's good. Like, that's one of the things that drives me nuts about all this. You see Brett McMurphy like trolling IU fans or whatever.
Dude sucks. That dude actually sucks. I'm not even kidding. I muted him.
Keep it classy.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I muted that guy, and I know I don't have the power to be like, freeze this guy out of the media. But, like, I swear, I beg you, Indiana fans, stop interacting with that guy.
Yeah,
like,
you cannot. It's all bait with that guy.
Just literally ignore him. I'm not even kidding. Like, impartiality, like, just ignore the guy. Like, nothing he says is based off of any type of research or anything. The dude just spews. Like, my life has gotten so much better since I muted him. I promise.
Well, but it's all engagement bait, and I know that IU is, because they have such a raucous fan base in both in basketball and in football, that they, and I get why, but they will engage with that, and I get it, but it's also fueling that nonsense that these guys continue to perpetuate it, and, like, I just don't understand.
Look at what gets the most clicks.
Rooting against, correct, but why are those guys rooting against IU? Isn't that what the whole point of what the NCAA wants? Like, don't you want other schools to come in and like have a chance to be good? I don't get it. So that, again, I'll get off my soapbox on that, but that's one of the things that drives me.
Where he's like, I thought we were the cute underdog story this year, but I guess not.
No, he's right. I mean, they're gatekeeping, and it's silly.
Yes. Well, everyone realized that if Indiana takes a seat at the table, there's one less for everybody else. And when it got real enough to be like Indiana's actually going to take a seat at the table, the establishment got upset, which is why, like, it's Brent Fender says you won't stop me from talking.
I won't.
To teach their own,
No. He says we're not going to stop him.
Oh yeah, no. That's I know. I've seen him. So yeah, he loves to yap. He's a yapper. Hey man, I'll like it. I've liked I used to not like a lot of tweets, and now I like 50 tweets a day of people just attacking other people that are trashing IU. So hey man,
it gets a little dark. There's been a couple of times where I look in my comments or replies, and I'm like,
well, I have
internet
an
police, but
right now who's just replying to this one guy who just was putting up pictures of the overweight guy on the computer with the South Park one, multiple. It's just I had to mute the conversation because it's weird, man. It's getting a little bit too much there. So anyway,
I have my replies muted. All of my replies are muted. Anything I choose to engage in, which is actually almost worse that I'm going and searching this stuff out. But it helps. I don't need to see everybody's opinion over and over again. Like the people who I follow and interact with, I see their replies, but it's the people who it's the trolls, the people who are just talking shit that they don't even pop up on my thing. I go find them, I laugh at them, I take advantage of their engagement, and I get out of there.
Yeah, I feel I've been blowing up on Twitter lately. I've had to mute my my likes and retweets recently. I'm keeping the replies open. I'll see how that tactic works because
don't get too far ahead, Brad. I'm getting there.
Okay, I'll chill.
I don't know if Pitt Hoosiers in the chat, but Pitt Hoosiers sent out a tweet today that made me laugh, and I had a horrible the scene in Despicable Me where he's sitting there and he takes the bite and he goes back to his childhood.
I don't.
That's Ratatouille.
Is that Ratatouille? I don't know. No, there's Despicable Me. Maybe it's a different part of Despicable Me, but there's a gif where he goes through his eye and it sees young Groot.
Yeah.
Pitt Hoosier said that the end of the game debacle, the victory formation thing, was a misinterpretation of the Kenny Pickett rule by the officials. So if Indiana lost this football game because of a misinterpretation of the Kenny Pickett rule, that would have been probably the worst possible outcome for me personally.
So really quickly, have you guys figured out why? Because I was reading, some people were saying that because he was backing up, he was giving himself if you can stand there, but you can't back up. And if you back up, I don't understand why.
He can drop back to pass. There's fake spikes. That's allowed.
Right. I just didn't understand it. And you could see Signetti. I thought Signetti's head, he was going to do the thing where the smoke was coming out of his ears. And, because he was, there was 5 or 6 points in that game where I thought he was going to assault somebody on the sidelines, which
did you see the way he pushed Whitmer back from the huddle before talking to him? That was so funny. It was just an involuntary reaction, or he was trying to get in the conversation. It's no, this is my conversation.
Yes, I'm doing this one.
I don't even know if I don't. If you ask him about it, I doubt he'd be I remember doing that. I think it was just
he's just so locked in all the time that you never know what he's, what's happening with him. He's just so locked in, and he doesn't. The other thing is if you watch him, he's always far down the sideline, a lot of times away from people, which I always think is absolutely hilarious because they'll show him and then they'll kind of start to zoom out a little bit, and he's 25 yards down the field away from anybody because he's trying to get a different angle and trying to just digest himself. He's a maniac, and it's great that he's our maniac.
And more to the misinterpretation of the rule, I think it's dangerous when refs start to assume the situation in the football game, assume what the team's going to do. They assumed he's going to kneel. That should not be the case.
Well, did you think it was Bush League?
Yeah, what if he just spun out?
Calling timeout? Well, yeah, they could have done that. But did you I didn't think it was Bush League at all. I thought it was fine. I was going to say I almost posted about it, but I didn't see enough people taking the other side where I felt it was necessary. But no, I thought when you have the home crowd rocking like that and you 100%
are you have to make the other team snap the ball 3 times, especially when you see they're struggling with the crowd noise.
Totally agree. Yeah,
and then
I just wanted to see if that was what you guys thought, because I saw some people saying that, and I was kind of I think that's kind of ridiculous. So,
but then the other thing is, if you get Indiana to punt it, and they punt it to Wheatgen, whatever that kid's name is. It's like that. Anything could happen when you kick it to that dude. Like, keep it away from that guy.
Well, my piece on Hoosier Huddle hasn't come out yet, but I talk about that because you guys brought it up, and I thought it was a brilliant point because why did he have 4 touches? He's by far the best player on the team. Giving him the ball 4 times is right, especially when they had such. I thought their game plan was absolutely right. Agreed. And he's small, so I get it. It's kind of like the Jalen Lucas, is he going to get killed thing? But like
he's bigger than Jalen Lucas, though.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like
he's pretty well built.
But my point is more like they had a brilliant game plan, except that one thing, like get your explosive player the ball, and they did not do that. And the times that they did, he wasn't even really in space. It was kind of like, it was kind of like a pitch out when he's coming around, and it's like that wasn't like throw him with a tight end and a wide receiver over there when it, have him make a play when he actually has a little bit more room. So I just thought that was a terrible decision by them. When I thought that Parker was incredible on the way that he defended IU was brilliant, and he got kind of got his hand caught in the cookie jar at the end. But that's just kind of how it goes. If that's
live by the sword,
but I'm just saying,
sword.
Correct. I just thought that their game plan the whole time on both sides of the ball was very good. And on defense, IU had most of the answers, but on offense, they got to do something about the silent count, and that's what we'll talk about. I guess I'm sure that they need to switch up the cadence. That was awful again.
In Eugene, they have.
Let's have the silent count conversation now, because I've been just having it by myself for the last 2 days.
I wrote about this as well. Go ahead.
If they go into Oregon with the same silent count and let those athletes time up and run at the snap, forget it. And a lot of the little nuanced things Phil Parker was doing, that defense is so well coached, and you saw it from the behind the offensive line angle on the play where they had crossers and Fernando got hit, where Hemby missed the blitzer. They still made the throw, but they did such a great job of hiding the blitz and crossers and confusing the Indiana offensive line in the backs and pass protection, and just it's those little nuanced things that make Phil Parker so good that it's so hard to quantify if you're not watching Iowa week after week.
I totally agree, and I thought that because we're having this debate, it was impressive as you're watching, but it's also to me like a high school team. They were timing it up. It was the same cadence on every play. So when they're bringing the safeties down, those guys are running full speed. I realized that the left side of the line was better than the right side of the line, but some of the time I can't really blame Bray Lynch or Khalil Benson when guys are getting running starts
from 5 yards deep.
Right. It's you're just trying to make a play. And I do think that one of the other things that was a problem, and I think that could have helped that out, was just how horrible Hemby and Kalen Black were on pass pro. I think that they let me see if I can find this quickly, but Hemby had a 5 grade, 5, not 50, which is 60 is normal, is the baseline, but 5. So they were missing the blocks. It reminded me a lot of Michigan, where they were doing what IU does.
A lot of parallels to Michigan.
Correct. Backing out of it on some sides and then bringing it. But once they saw that Benson and Lynch were having issues, they went right at it. So, again, this is just happy they got out of there with a win. That's all. That's kind of all I'll really say about that. It's because that was a battle. And I said it in my piece that that should be coming out here. But I thought that was the best win of the Signetti era, because they didn't have it at multiple points. Even Iowa had a couple of brutal drops, where they could have extended drives.
The receivers were not great, and the kicker, who was ice from 50 yards, missed from 46, and Wheeler on that play, who we did not give credit to when we went over the game on Sunday morning, absolutely shucked the center.
I know he did. They were their defensive line is so good. It's just it's really weird.
And those 2 safeties were wreaking havoc on us. 1 and 4, and
you're right. 1 and 4.
Wakba and Entringer. Really great. But they were the ones getting the running starts for the most part. So it was really just on us in terms of why they had such a good game.
No, I totally agree. Oh,
yep.
Oh
Yep.
Yep.
Right. Jamie. Yep. Pitt Hoosiers giving us breaking news. Pitt Hoosiers got breaking
Really?
news for us in the chat. Tino Sinceri fired by UCLA.
As of 20 minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah, parting ways.
Wow.
I mean, they're clearing
just
house.
gonna
They're
retool,
gonna clear house over there anyways, and it seems a little unfair
he's
to
not
part with
staying.
them this early, but yeah, unfortunate.
Well,
Maybe
I also with them, if you follow them way more than I do, but I've watched a couple of their games because I actually was with you. I thought that they wouldn't be. I thought that Maeva would make them like I thought they'd be like 6-6.
yeah, I thought there was
awful.
potential there.
Right.
It's really just it starts from the top. Like they're not the NIL spenders that they could be, you know,
Or should be.
They have donors, yeah, as they should be, because they are asleep. Like they're right there in LA. There's plenty
They're
of
in
LA
Los
kids to go to
Angeles,
both
dude.
USC and UCLA.
They're the
plenty of
public
talent.
LA school. There is no excuse for them to be bad at any sport.
Yeah.
It is actually criminal that they're not perennially a top 5 team in every sport.
Yeah, it's tough that they have to spend the $10 million a year just to be in the Big Ten. They have to give that $10 million to Cal because they are the flagship university in the UC system. So I think that hurts them a ton. But yeah, the O-line has been bad for basically since 2022. It's been horrible. That's why Dante Moore didn't work out. Even though I've been his critic, but I kind of get it now after watching him at Oregon behind what I would probably call the best O-line in the country. Now he's able to flourish there with that killer arm. It all starts from the top, and that there's inability to get the best of the best. Deshaun, I actually thought was doing a great job roster construction wise, going in with the limited resources he had going into the year. They were able to get some Oklahoma guys, some Notre Dame guys. They've been able to like make do with what they got, but it just didn't work. I don't know how it's inexplicable to kind of how bad. Like I knew there was a chance that they'd be like 4-8, 5-7, like just not there yet. I did not see 0-12 coming.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming either. But I feel bad for Sinceri, like because that's why I don't. So we were talking about like would Signetti leave, and I don't think so. But I also think that they ponied up to pay the assistants. But I don't see. I mean, could Brian Haynes get like the Virginia Tech job? Like, I mean, maybe. I guess he could. Yeah. I could see him leaving for that. I just don't see them leaving. Even go to Penn State. Like, IU would pay it. I think IU would pay it. So I don't know.
100%.
So anyway, just.
Well, no. The thing is,
if you're Sinceri, you had to take the job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got a promotion.
Power two, yeah. Right. And in your power 2 and you're calling plays. I totally understand why he did it. And hey, I mean, I like Whitmer too. So,
Yeah, Whitmer's great. Big fan of Whitmer.
Yeah.
Something tells me Tino can find his way back at Indiana, especially with the way the coaching staff's been getting paid. You got to think of, those, I don't want to
they're not
call
going
it
to bring
apples
back
to apples, but like the Alabama staffs, they would bring in some,
offensive analyst type
roles, big names to come in over the years under Nick Saban, and would love Indiana to do that.
I mean, weren't they like they were doing the thing where they were like the rehab? They were like
they're the
coaches rehab.
Center.
Yeah, Saban's
Sark,
rehab.
Lane Kiffin,
Bill O'Brien,
Sark.
Bill O'Brien.
Sark. Yep.
Yeah, Sark, Bill O'Brien. I mean, there was multiple of them. They're smart dudes. They just made silly mistakes taking jobs they probably shouldn't have taken, and then were acting like clowns. But again, that's where you go and they rehab you completely. So. Yeah,
I might have to fact check myself. I'm pretty sure they added Doug Marrone too, my boy.
Did they?
Hold on.
It's,
Yeah, offensive line coach 2021, Doug Marrone. Like they just bring in the big
Jamie,
names.
to your point, and to be like, would Penn State pony up, and then would IU just double down? And like, it would take Signetti like pushing to leave. Like that would have to be a thing. And if you listen to anything this guy said over the last year and a half, he's not going anywhere. And if he is, he'd be it would be a complete 180 to everything.
Well, put it this way: like he had to get the grandfather offer, he said, from IU, or like the Godfather offer from IU to even take the job.
Consider leaving, yeah.
And he's doubled that. He's already doubled that in 1 year, and that's like 7 or 8 times what he was making, or maybe more than that, like 9 times what he's making. Oh shit! Sorry. My feed just went backwards, and I thought I saw a big hit, and it was actually, I don't know what happened here. Anyway,
That was the middle of the night, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm very nervous here. I've been sweating this one out. If you have no idea, like I didn't think they were going to win this one, so to even be in this spot is crazy. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, I don't think he's leaving. I think it would take a lot, and it would take an actual promotion, like Sinceri had with his, taking the job as the play caller and the offensive coordinator. For someone like Haynes or even Shanahan, they'd have to, my guess is, get a power conference head coaching job, I would guess. I mean, maybe
in a
Shanahan
good position
would go,
though, not just like
because you see with Sinceri, it ends so quickly.
Yeah, you go to a school like UCLA where it's just an absolute shit show, and all of a sudden, like, you get your legs cut out from under you. Everyone thinks you're a bad coach. You didn't even get an opportunity, and then what?
Right.
I mean,
so you got to be really
at the
selective.
time, UCLA was getting like momentum toward the end of last year, if you remember correctly, and that seemed like an actual like appealing job to kind of like, okay, maybe we can rebuild UCLA. Maybe I can be a part of this and make a name for myself. And clearly, it just didn't work.
No, and getting Imialiava.
That was all super weird to bring in Joey Aguilar and then to bring in Nico and push Aguilar out the door was just an odd.
Weird.
That was all of it was odd.
Yeah.
Totally
back to the Hoosiers. North Texas replaces Colorado State on the 2026 non-conference schedule. North Texas is one of 9 undefeated teams left in the country.
Yeah, I mean they're a good. They're a good.
They're out of Wazoo.
Right. They're a good. I wouldn't say. I mean, they're not great, but they're a good team. And IU's just gonna, no matter what, IU's just gonna get shit for scheduling another smaller school. But that's because they got bought out of the other. Didn't they? Who did they have? Colorado State and
Colorado State paid them after the Illinois game to not play,
right?
Basically, because they saw that and was like, we don't want to do that. And then they had to replace it with North Texas, which is definitely an upgrade. A Texas school that's probably going to always have money out there in Denton, the Mean Green. Yeah, loving it. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen.
Maybe a Texas footprint recruiting-wise, which is, I think, a little chess move from Cignetti himself.
100%. And it remains to be seen if North Texas will have its. I don't know who their head coach is, but I know he's been pretty good for a decent amount of time. So when bigger school.
Hold on. I
don't
use Google. I go to my Phil Steele book.
I know. That's why I was like, this is so ridiculous. He's about to whip through the white pages of college football.
I can get more info quickly,
Oh, Control F.
Keep going.
It's an actual.
There was that tweet going around last week of people not that one guy not understanding why Curt Cignetti has been successful, and the other tweet of the other person being, well, they have to be cheating.
That was unbelievable. We have a Stallions moment, he was saying, or something like that. That was great.
That was insane.
It was crazy. I was literally laughing when I saw that. I was like, oh my, we actually finally made it. Because these Nebraska fans have been waiting for something like this since the 90s. And they've seen Indiana do it in 2 years. And they're like, what the hell is going on? We're Nebraska. Their brains literally broke.
They don't understand it. They can't comprehend it.
Yeah, I get it. It's sometimes hard for me to fathom as well, what we're seeing. But when you break it down, it's just like, we hired the right coach and you didn't. That's really what it comes down to.
It is what it comes down to. Brad, you share a birthday with Fernando Mendoza, and that's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. Yeah, big 2-7 tomorrow.
There you go.
Yeah, join the
I'm
club.
really gonna watch. My back's in constant pain this week. My knees hurt. My ankles hurt, and I know it's bases loaded, bottom of the 9-0 outs.
Yeah, this is not good
right now.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just wish myself and Fernando, my twin, minus 5 years. Happy birthday tomorrow. It's going to be in 4 hours my time, 3 hours in Fernando's time zone. So his is coming up real quick. And yeah, I can't wait to have a great celebration tomorrow. Watch my Dodgers and probably have some good eats and, just enjoy it, Happy birthday to Fernando from Twin.
And happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
I think my sister's is the 2nd. My brother's is the 4th. So we have a bunch of them right around the same time.
Yeah, oddly enough, my grandpa was born on October 2nd, so it's
my younger brother's the 8th.
Early October birthday.
Yeah.
There was a Curtis Rourke, Fernando Mendoza like joint edit going around the timeline this week. What were your thoughts on that one, Jamie?
Oh, I loved it because it's like the dad and the son. That's kind of right, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I mean, Rourke was incredible. I just think he doesn't have the tools that Mendoza has, but he's just that his like composure in situations was like, I don't know, legendary in my opinion.
And the arm
never looked. What's that?
And the arm.
Yeah, he had a good arm. I just he never seemed rattled, and I thought that like I used offense fed off of that in a lot of situations. I know he made a couple of mistakes in big games, but yeah, I can't really blame him. IU was out physicaled in a couple of those games, and I thought that Notre Dame game was much closer than the score suggested. To be totally honest with you, I don't think they really got outplayed mostly or at all on defense. But anyway.
And it's Brenton's birthday today. Happy birthday, Brenton.
Wow.
Big 3-9. A lot of birthdays in this little
3-1.
vicinity. Hell yeah.
All right. I'm tuning out of Yankees Red Sox. I'm going to Dodgers Red. So I'll give you guys some live updates as
give me some updates.
Right here. Snell that.
Jamie, I believe you posted the video of PFF gushing over Indiana's defensive line. There was the post from Big Ten Huddle today about the interior defensive line PFF grades. Tyreek Tucker's the number 1 graded defensive lineman in the Big Ten. Landino's tied for 2nd, and Wheeler is 11th.
Yeah, those guys are legit. And I wrote about this again. It's going to be coming out, but I still believe in Kamara. I think that he was getting. He was not. I thought there was plays he could have made. I think you guys talked about that. There was definitely plays he could have made. I also thought he got headlocked on like 2 or 3 plays where the ball carrier was
He's been held the whole game.
Yeah, it was. You talked about it. I thought I get annoyed when the refs don't call what I think are obvious penalties, regardless of what's going on in the game. But they were consistent the whole game. They didn't really call it. But there was a couple plays where it was like, what are we doing here? Like there was a play where Gronowski rolls out, and the only reason that they got that he got positive yardage is because Kamara is literally the guy's like holding him like this behind his head. It's like what are we doing here? So, but yeah, those guys. I think Kamara is going to. We're going to see a big game from Kamara coming up here soon, and I think that he's commanding attention, and I think that's leaving one-on-ones with the 3 inside, and those guys are. I mean, Mario Landino. I posted this earlier in the season when he spun around. He had a spin move in a drill with Austin Liebfried, and I was like, holy hell, this dude's 6'4", 285, making spin moves. Like I don't even see that. I never even see that in rec league, and I'm seeing like I was playing with college, ex-college basketball players, ex-walk-ons. It's like they aren't even making spin moves like that. So I was like, maybe this kid is the real deal, but he's been really good. Tucker we knew was good, but I didn't know how good, and he's been really good. And Wheeler, his PFF numbers were blah coming in, but man, they know how to scout their guys. And that dude, another guy, it's just they want you in the backfield. They don't, regardless of what's happening, they want you to be. It's not just the Tom Allen, hold guys off, let the linebackers make plays from the back end or the safeties. It's penetrate, force other people to make decisions, and it's a good strategy because they're college kids and they don't always make the right decisions. So, big fan of all those guys. Big fan.
I think Landino's a legit NFL talent, and thank God we have 2 more years of him because I think he's 3 and done. To be quite honest, just from what I'm seeing so far. Like you mentioned that spin move, the amount of quickness that he has at that size is just something you can't really teach, and I've watched guys over the years, and usually it's the guys that start breaking out as a true sophomore. And the younger you break out, the more likelihood you have to make a name for yourself in the league. Obviously, there's late bloomers, there's exceptions to that, but it's always a good sign when you're the starter on a top 10 team and you're a true sophomore. That could only bode well for you in your NFL dreams. So and he passes the eye test, obviously, with that spin move and the quickness he has at that size. So. He's
not somebody, Brad, you've been gushing over since we were doing the Sigs Inside days before last season.
I remember one of our first episodes, we were breaking down the Mario Landino recruiting class, and we were going, I read through all the stats of all the players, and Landino really stood out because this is a D tackle that had about 95 tackles in a 10-game season at that position. Like, that is unheard of. You would think he'd be getting double teamed because he's like probably the one Indiana commit, one Big Ten commit on the field. Didn't matter. He's the one making all the tackles, making all the plays. He's just quicker, bigger, faster than everyone on that field. And obviously, you can't really go off high school to project for NFL, but he is right on schedule for
well,
that.
And I think just building off that with those three is like, I'm just looking at it here, and keeping those three fresh. Tucker has 150 snaps, Landino 121, and Wheeler 140. Like I said before, Lou Moore has 236 snaps. I know he's obviously a safety; it's not the same position, but Kellen Wyatt has 159, and they're keeping these guys fresh. Stephen Daly 124, who I thought was also awesome in that.
Daly had a fantastic game.
He's been awesome all year.
Yeah, he's one of the better run defenders. Also, he's got an 83.9 run defense grade for the season. But I'm just saying, like the ability, because they have the depth to keep these guys fresh. I mean, it doesn't happen if they're on the field too much. And so,
what's Ratcliffe at for snaps?
Ratcliffe has 82. He's one of the guys. I was actually pretty surprised. They played him more in that game, probably because they needed to, and the way that Iowa runs. But he was a PFF darling. Not that I always just agree with what they say, but I don't just watch a ton of random Texas State games where I'm just like keying on a random defensive tackle that I have no idea who it is. But my point is that having those guys in there to be able to rotate it's invaluable. And got to give props to the staff. Kuntz is one of the
That a boy, Caleb.
On the dub.
That a boy, Caleb.
Delay, it seems like, from your stream, but
yeah, I'm behind. I have slings, so it's probably because I texted my family, was get him the hell out of there. So I'm glad they didn't listen to what I was saying. Anyway, sorry. We'll go ahead. I apologize. I was kind of rambling here because this game has me just absolutely jazzed up. So now it's
I'm fired up, Jamie. It's taking everything for me to not just like run off to do like a fist pump, scream, like just get jacked up. Like, that is holy hell. This isn't a baseball podcast, but my God, what a
it's the bye week extravaganza. Anything goes. So
it's also for me. I don't know. Are you in North Carolina, or where are you again, Alec?
Yeah, I'm in Greensboro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the temperature. It's warm here still, Brad. Like, it's like I mean, in this.
It's like 69, 70 today, something like that. It's
starting to
80. Yeah,
Chicago's still in the 80s.
Yeah,
that's so ridiculous. I'm so excited to be out there next month. This month, it'll be this month in a couple hours. Hell yeah.
The month, the best month of the year. And my birthday kicks off.
John says, "Don't get too excited, Alec. Yankees show up in October." Recent history tells us otherwise.
The Yankees lose.
It's one of my I have the
in the X shirt. Let's go.
Start spreading the news. The Yankees lose. I want to be a part of it. New York. New York.
I want to take a second to shout out the Sideline Pod. There was a Iowa fan that was chirping me on Twitter, being like, "The only Indiana football post I could find from you is 2024," and it's like,
I can see that too.
Been waiting for somebody to say that because I had a podcast in college talking about Indiana football, starting as a sophomore through senior year, and so you can go. No, Brad was not a part of that podcast, and so you can go find that. We had a couple really cool interviews, including Indiana Hoosier Trisha Whitaker, which is a really fun one. So my buddies were media school students, and they had her as a professor. And so during COVID, we were able to get a bunch of different cool interviews.
We're doing well.
And Zach Osterman. Shout out to the Sideline Pod.
So
he's the man.
Trisha has like my dream job. She just gets to like hang out with baseball, like watching baseball, and then just randomly like flies in and teaches a class at IU for a little bit. Like, it sounds just absolutely amazing. So
yeah. Great Hoosier.
Hunter Green is nasty, by the way.
The SEC's released their 2026 schedules, and all I gotta say is woof. My point on this being
Otani.
before the SEC 2026 schedules came out, I would have bet my life that the Big Ten was going to add the +1 rule. Now I'm just actually not so sure. Like those schedules were ridiculous, especially the Carolina one that has a couple of those built-in rivalries already. Like some of those schools are going to end up playing like 12 Power 4 teams, and it's just like at a certain point, you don't need to be the toughest guy in the room, right? If somebody like gets to the top of that ladder, you just need to match them. Like.
But like I think it's actually kind of hilarious that like the Big Ten didn't do anything. They just kind of people online like bullied them into like making their schedules exponentially harder.
For what
reason? Like this isn't college basketball where it's like you have to like have a strength of schedule. Like you just have to win the games that are on your schedule and it will like fall where it is. What's the point of? I don't know. I listen. If the Big Ten adds that 9+1, I'm fine with it because everyone will be doing the same thing. I just think it should be standard across all the leagues, which is why I don't really understand that. But again,
well, it's like you did that, so we need to one up you, and so it's like how do I?
Well,
it's
right,
like,
but the Big Ten scheduled themselves out of multiple national title or BCS. The 4 game, what was it? The semifinal and the final. Like they weren't in that because they were playing the 9 conference games for no reason. When the SEC is, okay, yes, I get Clemson plays South Carolina. Like I understand that's but that's the same amount of power games that the Big Ten was playing anyway. And then you get schools like Ole Miss and they just have 4 cupcakes. So it's like, I'm sorry. Like I don't really, I'm not sure I'd buy that. But again, I don't know why like they got goaded into doing that. I just wish it was, my take is just like, let's just have it be standard across. If they want to do the extra game, then I'm totally down with the extra Power 4 game. Because hell yeah, I would love to see like Kentucky. I would love to see, honestly, I would like to see Louisville if that's what they want to do. But let's make it standard across the sport, or let's just do what we're doing right now, which seems to be working for. It was working for the SEC for a while, and now
they stopped doing it.
They decided like, that let's just add more games. I don't know. So
it's like the Key and Peele skit where they show up with a newer hat, like a different hat every time, and he's wearing like the hat in the glass case. It's like at a certain point it becomes ridiculous.
Right. That's my point. Listen, I just want it to be again. I would much rather it just be the same across all of them. I didn't realize that the conferences are absolutely jacked up. And like the ACC like announced that they were going to go to 9 games. They have like an odd number of. They can't even do it because it's like an odd number of teams, and it just makes no sense anyway. So we'll see where it goes from there. But again, I'm fine with the way the Big Ten is doing it. If they want to add another game, hell yeah, that means another good. That means we don't have to watch Indiana State then, I guess. Which I guess it's like a preseason game anyway. But whatever gets it to like where they stop bitching and complaining all the time, and that's where I want to be at.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that the Big Ten's going to adopt it, and they're going to require that Power 4 / Notre Dame. 100%. And for Indiana's case, like I've been screaming from the rooftops, basically this whole entire, controversy's been going, if you want to call it that. I don't know, butting of the heads, I guess. Like I want Kentucky, I want Notre Dame, I want that on an alternating home and home every 2 years. I think that'd be great. My biggest thing with the SEC schedule coming out is that these protected rivalries that they announced,
brutal,
locked in for 4 years.
I know.
Poor Ole Miss, they got to deal with Oklahoma for 4 years for no reason.
Yeah, protected rivalry, Oklahoma.
You couldn't give Oklahoma the old Big 8, like you couldn't give them like A&M, Texas, and Mizzou. I feel like that's like pretty standard. They give Ole Miss literally anyone else like that. That would make the most sense. But I guess the math just didn't work out for whatever reason. So I don't know. It's
natural rivals, nearly 600 miles away from each other. Natural rival.
And also like 3 of them out of the 9, like I feel like that's a lot. Like let's do 2 and then alternate it every 2 years and bring back like Alabama, LSU every 2 years and do the home and home. I think that's a better way to structure it. Goom for SEC commissioner. Let's just start
let's lock it in. Let's lock it in.
The campaign now. They would love a Californian taking over the conference. I'm sure they would.
First question to you, Mr. Commissioner. One sentence on Virginia beating FSU. Go.
Parody. Yeah, that's the one word. But best field storm I've ever seen in my days.
People
I
thought,
always thought it was so
Yeah,
cool.
they a couple of the FSU players never even got back up on their feet. They just still on the ground.
they were on the ground.
That was like.
I hope they're
whoa.
okay. Like, to be
Yeah,
honest.
they were okay. People thought one of them got trampled, but then there was a picture of him standing after.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
Oh, I didn't see it. I just saw it like them running on the field, and he's laying on the ground after like not making the play, and it's like, holy shit! Like, look out, buddy.
Literally. Yeah,
Like, we talk about the basketball court stormings, like that is pretty scary. What's going on there? And I'm not an advocate of getting rid of the field stormings. I think it's actually a great thing for the sport. I think it's a good part of the culture and the fabric of what is college athletics. But yeah, I get it. Why
they should have been more prepared for that.
Yeah,
they stormed like the exact spot that the play ended. The game ended, so like,
and the exact second the game. They didn't even wait for the whistle. The play ended. They were on the field, and they had like two poor security guys, like with their arms out like this, like trying to stop that entire
Red Rover. They're playing Red Rover out there. It's not gonna work.
That's actually insane.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't stop, don't run. Everybody's like charge. It's insane. The Cuban Center continues to crush. They put out Feel the Rain. What's the name of that song? Feel the Rain on Your Skin or whatever. The video the Cuban Center put out last week was awesome. And the Cuban Center continues to crush.
Yeah, they're great.
But yeah, that was great. We got a physical copy of the IFAP this week from Mooser, B-Town Moose on Twitter, who does the Indiana football action plan every week. I guess he forgot to do it before he took off for his flight, so he literally just drew the thing out on the plane. It was unreal.
He's one of my favorite
Unwritten.
falls.
Caleb, you're a legend. Appreciate you. Unwritten, that's the name of the song.
Unwritten, yes. There you go.
Illinois is not as bad as people think, huh?
Or USC's not back, but yes.
Yeah, I was going to say I actually think that both of those teams are just like borderline, top 20 to 20, like top 20 to 30 teams. Like I think they're the issue that USC has is this: can they stop people? Like it seems like they can't stop anybody, but they can score on anybody. And Makai Lemon?
Yes.
That dude is outrageous. That's were you talking about him?
I'm more of a fan of Jacoby Lane. I think Makai Lemon's great, but Jacoby Lane's been hurt, which has kind of been an issue, and they're still a good score, which is so impressive. But yeah, Jacoby Lane's like this 6'4", lanky, like just reminds me kind of AJ Green back when he was at Georgia. A little less dominant, but definily has that NFL upside to him.
I just if they could
Lemon's
stop
good
people,
too,
they'd
though.
be
Lemon's
he was so good in that because I was trying like as the IU game was, I was rooting for Illinois. I never do this, but I was like rooting for I'm like, I was doing like the go team. Like I was just like score. Like I don't want it to be a blowout. I don't want it, I just want it to be a close game. Like
both teams look good, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was happy that it was close. And I did think that field storming was a little weird to me. Weren't they like
very weird?
What was that?
Very weird.
Like
they were the home team. It was their homecoming. They were the 9th team in the country 2 weeks ago. Why did they storm the field after winning at home? That was insane.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. But
I mean, like, good for them because they thought their program was dead after last week. So
yeah. To be fair, we've seen when Signetti when he curb stomps somebody, they have like major issues like the next week, like coming back from the stomping. And I mean, we saw it with Michigan State. We saw it with Nebraska played I think they played at OSU, and their offense looked the exact same, just terrible. And their defense was much better. But I felt like Ohio State in that game was like kind of just toying with them. Anyway, my point being is like we've seen when Signetti stomps somebody, like the next couple of weeks, those teams have to like figure out how to like get their feet back under them, and some of them don't. So it was good to see that Illinois, who I do think they're not a bad team. I just don't think that they're the 9th team in the country. But
I think those are 2 top 25 teams. I think that they really exemplify the depth of the Big Ten is what we're been saying. Because it really feels like so far this year through 5 weeks, it's that same Big Four: Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, same representatives as last year. Feels like they're the clear top 10 caliber teams in that conference. And then you still have your Michigans, you still have your Illinois, still have your USCs. Maryland looks really frisky. Washington.
What's your take on Penn State? because I can't figure out.
I can't figure him out.
I mean,
either.
I think James Franklin sucks. I thought he sucked for like a decade, but I can't figure out why they can play a team like Oregon close, but then they just look so mediocre. Like, I know it was a home game and it was 110,000, but they were so mediocre in the lead up to that. Like, it was kind of hard to like see them. I honestly thought Oregon was going to stomp, like just go in there and kick their ass. But I was pretty surprised that it took Oregon almost like 3 quarters for Dante Moore to like start to like figure out what was working and landing as well. Who's also a maniac. Which, if you've seen those things going around Twitter, that was outrageous.
Some of the landing stuff, I've actually literally just been sending them to Brad. Brad's like, my last like 5 or 6 messages to Brad are just different Dan landing clips. Like, that's actually
he's a lunatic.
He's a lunatic, but I love Lane. I think he's brilliant mind. My point is, I just
top 5 coach. James Franklin, I think doesn't get enough credit because, you know, he says they can't win the big game, right? A lot of coaches can't get to a big game. Right, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that a lot of people just take for granted. There could only be one winner. Obviously, that's kind of loser talk, right? You got to win one every once in a while. He did win. He went all the way to the semifinal just last year. Losing, obviously, it was at home to a very good Oregon team that looks like the best team in the country, just from my eye test right now. We'll see when they host our Hoosiers how good they are.
I think Oregon and Ohio State are the 2 best teams. I honestly, I mean, I think IU is really good. I don't think they physically match up with either of those teams.
That's not to say we can't beat them on a given day.
I totally agree. I'm not saying that IU can't beat them. 100%. I just think that it's the way that those teams look to me is just they look like mini NFL teams at this point. So we'll see what happens. I actually think that because of the way IU won last week at Iowa, I think people are going to discount IU. And I think that because of the big win Oregon had at Penn State, people are going to kind of like think, oh, Oregon, they're going to kick IU's ass. And I'm just not sold.
That's a great
on that
spot to be in if you're a team like Indiana.
Totally agree. That's what I'm hoping. That, I mean, at least that's my copium type situation. So,
well, to bring it back to, I was gonna say, to bring it back to Oregon, Penn State, I just think it goes to show how hard it is to play on the road. Like that Penn State environment, whiteout game, 110,000 people there, like, or 100,000, however many people they fit in that stadium. Like, that is a crazy environment. And then you look at from the Penn State side. Now, this is part of the reason why I feel like there are underlying issues with James Franklin's Penn State teams, where like if Curt Cignetti's Indiana Hoosiers looked the way Penn State did for the first 3 weeks, Bloomington would have been burning to the ground. Like Cignetti would have been losing his fucking mind, and I would have thought the guy was like something was wrong with the guy. Like, coaching is part of a big reason why teams don't get up for those games like that. And like, that's not to say like you look at the way Indiana was challenging against Old Dominion. Like Old Dominion looks like they might just be a decent football team. Like people aren't saying that about like Villanova or
I think someone posted
Norfolk State or whoever they were playing. FIU.
Sorry to cut you off. Someone posted this, and I think it was like IU CFB report or something like that. But I think IU has the most top 50 wins in college football.
Only team.
Because ODU is seemingly legit. And I mean, from what I watched from Colton Joseph, like I don't think he's the best passer, but that kid is. I mean, he's made himself some money. Yeah, he's going to make some money. He'll be. I mean, my guess is he'll be in the SEC next year, or probably at like something like North Carolina or something like that.
Screams Auburn.
Somewhere in the South. Yeah, no, you're probably right. I mean, something like that. I just think he made himself a ton of money, and he's a legit player. So, when watching that game, I was like, man, this is frustrating. And then you watch them. I've been following them, and you talked about like following their Twitter. I probably get it pushed into my feed from you guys, from all the burners and stuff, like interacting with them. But they are legit. Like that game, that was that 45-25 game against Virginia Tech. Like I know Virginia Tech had basically quit at that point, but that game was like 45-10. Like late in the game was just completely over, and it was like they scored a couple of garbage touchdowns, so it wasn't even like that game was ever even close. It was 25-0 at half, I think, or 24-0 at half.
28. I think it was legit 28-0 at half.
20.
Yeah, they were kicking the shit out of them.
Yeah, and so to me, like hopefully, I hate like doing this. Like I said, I just want both teams to be good, like I did for USC and Illinois. But like it's fun to watch a team that I had no interest in, and then watch them like go toe to toe kind of with IU. For a lot of that game, it was a close game. I mean, it was kind of a garbage touchdown that they allowed Joseph to run the last one. But I mean, based on what we've seen, it's very, very hard to stop IU on offense and on defense. So, I'm excited to see how they do, and I'm really hoping that if they make the playoff, that would be one of the funniest situations.
That would be by far the most hilarious
on Twitter.
outcome.
To watch the people on Twitter, the SEC people, I think there would be multiple heads exploding. Oh yeah,
Point left, point right, up, down, centers backwards, all that good stuff.
Funny.
There was an awesome stat going around Indiana Twitter where I think it was Greg Harvey had it. Indiana is the only FBS team in the last 30 years to have 1,300 plus rushing pass yards and 2 or fewer turnovers.
Yeah, they've been so good. It's just it's hard to fathom how good they've been, and even the numbers from going to this, in my opinion, this Iowa game. I didn't think that the numbers were as bad. They just didn't throw as much as I thought they were going to. And I write about this, but I think that part of that was also that they felt like their defense was on the field a lot, and they needed to kind of run the ball to also bleed the clock. And so yeah, I mean, it's Mendoza has been great. It's almost comical to think that we're 5-0 again. I don't think they've been 5-0 since I've been a fan ever, and they've been 5-0 2 years in a row. It's just absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's insane. By the way, Kike Hernandez base hit. Mr. October's back. He's heating up. Don't worry about it.
I love Kike.
Fernando, I think his best game was the Iowa game, in my opinion. Nothing was going right pass pro wise. Still was able to make the plays. We talked that whole shot to EJ down the field, different hash, taking that shot, hitting Surratt in stride, and then obviously the game-winning touchdown play. I mean, he was 13 for 23 doesn't look pretty when you watch the game. That is a hell of a stat.
And he also had he also had a throw to EJ where I thought he led him a little bit too. EJ had beaten the coverage and it was down the sideline, and if he just lays it out there a little bit more, it's a touchdown. Or if he throws back shoulder, it's pass interference or a tough catch. But
there was a blown pass interference call on the Omar Cooper.
I was about to say, so there's 2 plays that game could have been much different. That game could have been actually much different than we remember it if either of those plays are made.
Yeah. And we outgained them by 100 yards, and then you see have you seen how bad did we get beat? The EPA metric comparing them, big margin.
Yeah, that was crazy
comparatively to the other scores that were around them. So
they had a bigger margin than the South Carolina Kentucky game, which literally made no sense to me. I watched the South Carolina Kentucky game live. Carolina beat the hell out of them. I don't understand how EPA works, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's not EPA. It's success rate or something like that.
Correct.
Net success rate.
I'm not that into it. I feel like I look at a lot of the.
It's an interesting analytics guy. It's an interesting one to look at. I like that stuff. Obviously, it's not the end all be all for me. I like looking at the game and seeing there's context to the game that's important, right? And a lot of that was Indiana was just on the road in Kinnick, and that's just going to make things very uncomfortable.
Well, and to the point Brenton making in the chat, I think Iowa blitzed 75% of the time. It was an astronomically high rate of blitz, which is why I feel like Indiana was so confident calling a 7-man protection on that third down when they needed it. And just to think about that moment in isolation, to leave arguably the best receiver or one of the best receivers in the Big Ten on an island with a corner that your fans were telling us you're nervous about was definitely a decision. And just to your point, Brad, Mendoza, he was getting his ass kicked in that game up into the point where he got shoved into the cart that close to the sideline, while bleeding, all that stuff, and just to stand in the pocket over and over again and make the play when they needed it to was. Yeah, I have the utmost confidence in that leading us out in the field.
Yeah, Mendoza, just to Brenton's point in the chat, he was blitzed per PFF 66.7, so 2/3 of the time. On 20 of the 30 dropbacks, he was blitzed. And that is insane to me. But yeah, I mean, the other thing was that he wasn't, I think that Sig talked about it, them getting a little bit spooked. I guess on a couple plays into the game when Bray Lynch got just beaten pretty soundly or whatever. But they still made plays. And I thought that I talked about this in my piece here, but it's coming out. That should come out tomorrow. That I thought Roman Hemby also. Can we just talk about Roman Hemby, like big picture on Roman Hemby? Because that game is why you get Roman Hemby. That's why you have Roman Hemby. He was so good. He made a couple of plays where he was like 6-yard loss to like 9-yard gain. I just thought he was. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, he is the most important piece of that offense so far through 5 games. Obviously, Mendoza's like the crown jewel, right? I'd say Roman Hemby's the engine. We gotta get that guy in the end zone. Legacy game at Oregon, just throwing that out there potentially. We'll see. Love to see him break out a big run at some point, and or 2 or 3 or 4.
Like even that play at the end of the half, where Indiana was all about running the clock down, and he ends up getting 20-something yards because Iowa just didn't want to tackle him. And like even just being an outlet in the pass game and how sure his hands are, and not being tackled by the first guy, like he's a demoralizing player to go up against. Where you look at his stats, and it's like, okay, he's averaging like 4.5 yards a carry. Like what gives? And it's like you got to watch the guy play football. Like he is I don't know if he's the most important piece on the offense when quarterback's the most important position on the field, but like, man, take quarterback out of it, and yeah, he's in the argument for sure.
Totally agree. Really, so happy he's on IU's team, or on our team. But you have to think about that he's always out there with the ones from everybody. So it's not like, I know Kalen Black is as well, but like we've talked about how good Lee Beebe was. It sucks that he's down. I'm not really that surprised that they've gone back to just Black and Hemby. But man, if they didn't have Hemby, if they didn't have Hemby, they'd be in a world of hurt. But they do. So hopefully he stays healthy, and I'm very excited to see what he can do the rest of the way.
Do we want to talk about Notre Dame briefly, or do we just want to laugh at them and move on?
I just think to me. So when I went to IU, I had gone to a lot of BC. I grew up outside of Boston. Went to BC games, and then when I lived in Chicago or outside of Chicago, one of my best friends, his dad was a diehard Notre Dame fan. So I went to every BC Notre Dame game from when I was like in 7th grade until I was like a junior in high school or whatever. I think it was like 3 or 4 games. So I became kind of like a fan of Notre Dame, and then I went to IU and I was friends with kids that were from northern Indiana, or like the region, and they're all Notre Dame fans. So I always kind of liked them, and I didn't have any issues with them until last year, and now I kind of do, and I think it's actually kind of hilarious the situation they've found themselves in, because I think that CJ Carr is legit, and I think that they're not a good team, but
he's very good.
I just don't think, they're not going to get any. They were yapping about IU having the bad wins and all that, whatever nonsense. And they're going to have no ranked wins themselves, which is just like.
Yeah, their resume is going to be worse than ours last year.
I mean, it's
just ironic.
The jokes write themselves.
It's
that the jokes do write themselves. Yep. The jokes do write themselves. All right, last little bit of smoke. Aiden Fisher up for the Jason Witten Man of the Year award. So shout out to Aiden Fisher.
Awesome kid. Yeah.
Oh, and Brian Haynes. Brian Haynes. Just dominating people on Twitter. That was hilarious.
He's really enjoying the bye week.
The guy loves Twitter, dude. He loves it.
Forget recruiting. He's just gonna. I mean, the one that I posted where the kid was like, "No, yeah, you're right. No problem, goat." Like it just, I did not stop. I'm laying in bed laughing about that. It was just
that was so funny. He's like, "My bad, you're right."
Yeah,
Respect. Thanks for engaging with me.
All right, I basically answered my own question on Twitter, but I want to pose the question to both of you guys. Jamie, I'll go to you first. How important is 5-0?
Well, I think it's incredibly important. I picked the Iowa game to be a loss. I thought that they would beat. I mean, I obviously didn't think they would win by 53 or whatever it was against Illinois, but I picked the Iowa game to be a loss for the exact reason that they almost lost the game. Like I thought it was going to be just an absolute battle of two strengths going at each other, which was the defenses. But Iowa's a good team. I kind of miss. I think I wasn't as appreciative as I thought. I was impressed with Gronowski. He made a couple of throws that I thought were really good. But 5-0 now, everything is in front of them. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but like, yeah, they could easily. I don't really care if they can get to 10 wins again. That would be insane to me. That would be insane. I don't care what happens. Obviously, they have a long way to go to get to 10 wins. We've seen Maryland; they kind of look like they have some fight in them. But just to start out 5-0 to get there with the wins that they've already had, it's a testament to the team. It's a testament to the coaching staff. The fans have been awesome. I have not gone to a game this year, but the fans have been awesome. So very excited. Everything's in front of the team. Can't wait for Oregon. I can't wait.
Yeah, 5-0 brings momentum to the program. I think this is basically like the best possible start for the team, given the context. Obviously, against ODU, we just didn't. We knew, like, during our preview of ODU, we previewed that, hey, this is a legit team looking to win, be contenders in the Sun Belt, like they could be very frisky. And then the result was still just left kind of a bad taste in your mouth. But now seeing them come to fruition as a legit group of 5 CFP contender, that makes, and then seeing that result in the back end and then seeing all the other results, I don't think the season could have gone any better at this point. And it's really good momentum to build up to Oregon. A lot to work on, which is always a good thing. Something I mentioned on the Iowa podcast where it's like, yeah, okay, we have all these issues that Iowa, a great coaching staff, was able to expose. Oregon's probably going to try to do the same thing. So let's try to we got 2 weeks to fix it.
Yeah. Which set of film you think Dan Lanning and the boys are throwing on first? I can promise you, I know which one it is.
It's going to be Indiana, Iowa for sure.
It's going to be Indiana, Iowa first, and then it's probably going to be Indiana, Ohio State, and then it's probably going to be Indiana.
I made the same type of joke last week, but they're going to throw on Oregon, Penn State first, and then they're going to throw on Iowa, Indiana. But it's just how it goes.
No, I think 5-0 is a massive deal and something that I thought was interesting. Neither of you pointed out, but the fact that they can take this on the trail and go on the recruiting trail and here are all the stats that are like, this is the first time Indiana's done this. This is the first time Indiana's done this, undefeated in back-to-back seasons for the first time and ranked here and here. And all the SP plus metrics have them at this insane spot. And none of that changes for 2 weeks. This is the version of Indiana football that this coaching staff, who's already shown it's unbelievable at recruiting. And like we talked about it on Sunday, but one of the things that we know for a fact Brian Haynes is doing this week is he's going to go see Jaden Williams. And that's not surprising because he just picked up an Ohio State offer. And being able to go to that game with the momentum Indiana has is a massive deal. But that class of 2026 is loaded. And my guess is they're going to look to pick off some of these flips and some of the maybe more like talented guys that haven't committed yet, and then really try and build into the class of 2027. So to head into this next this week period and then the next week of build-up period and have the ability to sell this version of the football team is insane, because the difference between 4-1 with a tough road loss at Iowa and 5-0 is massive.
Yeah, what's really great to see, just as the analytics guy, like all the computers really liking IU. Obviously, those preseason analytics don't mean shit, but as the year goes on and more data is filled into those models, they become more relevant. Obviously, the only thing that's relevant is the CFP at the end of the day. But those are telling, like, predictive models, telling you how good this team is. A lot of the computers, despite what the public was saying, how bad we were around 8 to 10 for a good chunk of that year last year. This year, we're on top 5 watch for a lot of these computer rankings, and that's just a really good, like, indicator, really good teller. Like, we knew this team was going to be better. The computers are telling us that. The play on the field is showing us that. So it's just to see it come to fruition is awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the last thing I'll mention is, again, because I have it up here. They were last week. I think they were tied with Texas Tech, but they're still the number 1 team. They're by themselves now as the number 1 team graded by PFF. Just say, do you want to come play for a team like this? And it's going to be hard. I think that like the kid, the Williams kid, who, I mean, he looks like a legit player. It seems like a sideline linebacker if you just watch some of this stuff on Twitter or his huddle videos. But he's from Massillon, Ohio. The draw for those kids to go to Ohio State is insane. So
yes,
we'll see what they do.
I hope we'll see. I think it's significant that Indiana both offered and secured a commitment from him before he got the Ohio State offer.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that I think that is a draw. But
no, 100%. You're absolutely right.
Ohio State toward the end of, toward the, like, this is kind of what they do. They see what people are doing and who is committed elsewhere and what those kids are doing, and they kind of try to pick them off with, like they're doing with Jaden Williams. Like, Peegs, 247 has him as an 87 3-star. But if you watch the kid play, I mean, he's so good, and he's like a heat-seeking missile, and he goes sideline to sideline. It's like, but my point with saying that is that, like, they can put on the tape of being like, you can be Aiden Fisher, you can be Elijah Hardy, you can be Bones Jones. Like, these are guys that are actually right. These are the guys that are actually doing it. Yes, you can do that at Ohio State as well, but you can do that at IU, and you're not really missing anything. Sure, you might not have like the absurd practice facility. Okay, you're still getting to play the same teams. It's the same, the same environments. I use electric all at home. So they have a ton to sell. They have the NIL to spend. I hope they keep the kid. But it is fun that you have teams like I saw Tennessee offered Parker Elmore as well as a tight end, who I think was coming off of like a ACL injury or whatever and didn't play. I
transfer rule.
What's that?
Transfer rule. He had to sit out.
Correct. That's what it was. Yeah. So he had to sit out. Correct. Yeah. And I think he's gonna. I from what I've read, and don't take it as gospel, but from the message board, it seems like he's probably going to be staying at IU if IU is kind of wants him to. Which he was committed. I assumed that they wanted to. I assumed they wanted to stay. And it's good that these bigger schools are poking around because I want to see what IU does. I want to see what happens if someone comes in with Cameron McHaney, who looks like an absolute monster at IMG, like a defensive lineman.
But if you're an interior defensive lineman and you look at the way this interior defensive line is playing, like, how could you want to go to a different school?
What do you want to talk to Jalen Brewster? Is that his name? I think that's his name, right?
Yeah, that's exactly who I'm talking to, Mr. Brewster. Look at the way this interior offensive line's playing. No, there's a lot of big wigs in the.
You want to play with Mario Landino? Come to IU.
I like the fact that he was a Ball State. His dad was a Ball State teammate of Coach Haynes and Coach Eddie. I think that relationship means something, and it is largely why Indiana's in the conversation. But at the end of the day, that's a Texas kid who's getting a crazy amount of money, like supposedly, to go to Texas Tech. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully Indiana can kind of get in the ballpark and make themselves a player in that situation, because that would be a massive addition.
I mean, it'd be the biggest addition in the history of IU. So I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be the biggest. Yeah. I can't believe I skipped this over. I guess this is a good point to bring it up anyway. But I was going to say I was expecting to have a little bit more recruiting news to talk about. We haven't seen, like, there hasn't been any like mass offerings of players in the 27 or 28 class, or like, you start to see different kids in like one area, like, when like Coach Ojong's down in Arizona and like 5 or 6 kids get offered, you're like, okay, he's in Arizona for a little bit. Like when Coach Ola Adams is down in like Florida or out in Maryland, like you kind of know where those guys are. We haven't really seen that movement yet. So I haven't seen anything in terms of like what Indiana is going to be doing this week. I don't know, Jamie, if you may have caught something on a different part of Twitter that I haven't seen, but I think as the week unfolds.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think we'll see more. I think they're kind of. It's still only Tuesday. I think that like they're probably, licking their wounds kind of from the game and looking at film and stuff. And I think that hopefully we'll get some some tidbits about where they're going. But I actually, I think they're kind of close to being done with 26, depending on if someone falls in their lap or if something happens with one of their current commits, and then they kind of go to a backup plan. But yeah, you're right. 27, they got to go and see these kids. So I do know that I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw that Haynes. I think one of the defensive coaches are going to be going to talk to Jaden Williams specifically.
Yeah, Haynes is. Haynes is going to go watch him play on.
Yeah, so I think we'll get a lot of movement there, like Sword Friday night, Thursday, Wednesday, tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday specifically. Yeah. And hopefully we know a little bit more about where their priorities lie, I guess.
Caleb saying he saw Indiana offered an edge out of Connecticut today. Was that the 6'7" kid? 'Cause I think I saw that too. They offered a 6'7" defensive end. Yeah,
Do
4
you know
star.
what? Do you know what year?
27 probably.
Oh, let me look.
Sorry, Mackay something maybe. So than M.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll see some movement coming up here shortly, because I'm very excited about the Jamison Purcell kid. I think he's a legit quarterback. That Maine South, because my high school played them a couple times when I was there. They weren't as good when I was there, but like when my brother was going through, they were like Maine South is like one of the best teams in the state every single year. So if you're playing as a sophomore there, I mean, you're like a legit player. And he played last year, and he's playing this year. Yeah, so very excited about him.
Lefty, love that.
Slinger.
Yeah,
all right.
Brad, did you play? Were you a wide receiver? Because it's got to be.
That's kind of my strength in terms of evaluation, at least.
Well, so is it that much different to catch? Like, I've obviously been thrown to by lefties before with the football, but I've never, like, not in the heat of a game. Where is it like a totally different?
Funny enough, I've never had a lefty quarterback, so I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you personally.
Interesting.
The ball tails in a different direction.
Right. That's kind of
opposite.
Right.
I don't think it's that big of an. I mean, it's just there's just less lefties out there, and I think that's just the way it goes. I don't think there's any reason to have it. I'm not really looking at the spin. I'm more so looking at like where's the ball going to be is my main focus, and just strong hands no matter what. All the guys put zip on it, so you just gotta be ready for it. I don't think the spin really affects catching it too much. I could be wrong, but I just haven't experienced it. But from what I'm not really focused on how this ball's spinning. That's not really gonna tell me where it's gonna be. It's more so just like the angle of the ball, the velocity of it, and then anticipating that.
Yeah. All right. Here's what I'm thinking, because I couldn't believe I didn't bring this up yet, because Brad, I told you to hold your tongue, and then I completely buried it. But I wanted to end with looking ahead to what the rest of the Indiana season is going to bring. And the first thing it's going to bring after the bye week is a game at Oregon, 3:30, CBS, top 10, winner, likely number 1.
It's beautiful.
You went kind of like semi-viral this week on Twitter.
Yeah. Last time I checked, I was at 1.8K likes on that, because obviously the IU faithful loved it. They're eating it all up. And then what sort of started to happen was these Ohio State fans started coming in and just being like, you guys won't hop us, and really all I was saying was, regardless of the outcome of this game, I think each of these teams have an argument for the best resume in college football. You have Oregon coming off with a road win against Penn State, and then they are able to handle Indiana at home. And then they beat the crap out of every other team. Indiana, road win at Iowa, road win at Oregon, home beat down of Illinois, a top 25 team. Find me a better resume. I'm gonna throw in ODU as a kicker because they look like they're a top 50 team. So I'll throw in that one as well. Like it's hard for me to obviously Ohio State's looked fantastic this year. They're averaging teams to 5 points a game. It's unbelievable. I didn't think this defense could get better than they were last year, but they just are. And obviously, eye test, Ohio State's very good. I'm not trying to disrespect Ohio State. Would never do that. I know what happened last year. They won the Natty. We lost at home. It's not what my intent was. It was more so
we didn't lose at home.
This game's such a huge game that it's a huge resume booster, because I see these teams as legit top 5, top 6 level teams. So if you get that dub, that's a huge win. And when it comes down to December and they're announcing the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it right now. If IU wins at Oregon, they better be number 1. I don't know. There's no other better resume. I don't think. I guess.
I haven't looked at everyone's schedule the next 2 weeks, but it's hard for me to
that's what
fathom something's better than the 4 legit wins that we have.
That's what I'm saying. If you win, if you beat what should be a ranked. I mean, I think Illinois plays Purdue maybe or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, Illinois plays Purdue this week.
Right. So if they're in the top 20 and IU beat them by 53, and IU won on the road at Iowa, and then IU goes in and somehow wins in Autzen, I just don't see a scenario where another team has better win unless it's one of the undefeated SEC teams. But I don't know if they have the wins that are better than IU. So again,
Well,
I've got
on the road,
a Big Ten schedule, lucky enough for us to where it's like, find me a better resume than that.
On the road in Oregon would be the best win in the country this year,
right,
hands down.
Period.
Like they are the best team in the country,
and the Illinois win.
And if you look at like Oregon last year welcomed the national champion into their house and beat them. So it's like this is not it's just not an easy place to play.
T.O. 3-run jack. There we go.
Brad, I'm gonna let you get out of here and watch the game. Jamie, I appreciate all the time, but I just want to get one last question for you. When you look ahead at the rest of Indiana's season, like what stands out to you? What are you looking for, or what are you looking forward to? Like, if you could encapsulate how you feel right now about the rest of Indiana's season, how would you put that into words?
I guess with one word, it would be just excited. This year, they have let's just be honest, they have a tougher draw. Obviously, it's all kind of luck based of who you get and if they're good that year. But again, I like I said earlier, I picked 9-3. I thought that they would. I had to have it proven to me that they would win at Iowa. They've done that. I still don't think that is Maryland. I mean, that could be a trip up game. We'll see what Maryland looks like. I think Maryland's going to lose to. I think they're playing Washington this week. I think.
Yeah, it's Mario versus Wario.
there you go. So, but I'm super excited that they get to go to Oregon, that they get to play at Penn State. Like this is a legit game that I thought if they were going to win one of the two, Penn State or Oregon game, I just kind of chalked up the Oregon game as a loss. But Penn State, seeing how they looked and just watching them play, I think IU can hang with them even on the road. I just think that IU can score with anybody. Got to get the cadence. The cadence.
Silent count's not going to win on the road in the Big Ten. It's just not.
Right.
In these crazy road environments.
Switch it up. Right.
Yeah.
But
or even like fake the silent count once. Fake it one time. It's like.
Well, do you guys remember? I'm sure you guys were like in school, but Penix, so they were brilliant at the silent count. A lot of times it was at home, but like the Penix would clap and then they would wait like a second to snap the ball, and they got multiple times. They got Michigan in that game. That from 2021, there was literally no one in the stadium. I don't think because it was like 2020 or whatever.
2020.
They had like 5 free plays because Penix was just changing up the cadence on the snap. And it's like I don't understand. Like I know that Lynch is like putting his hand out there, but it's like you just hold the ball for another second, please, or something. Do something different. Mm-hmm. But again, if that gets fixed, I really do think that they have a chance to win 10, maybe even 11 games. So that's if they go back-to-back 11-win season, it's. I mean, we are on a rocket ship here, and maybe people will start respecting IU. Maybe Brett McMurphy will get a good tweet from Brett McMurphy.
I don't even want one.
I think honestly that might be if IU wins 11 games this year somehow and they're in the playoff again. Maybe we get a nice tweet from Brett McMurphy. I'm gonna
he'll still put us in the Rely Quest Bowl.
I know, unbelievable that guy.
What a tool!
I know,
Brad.
He does have a huge mustache. I have to say, good mustache.
Brad, how do you feel about the rest of Indiana's season?
Very confident. I think they're in a position, a lot of parity going on where it seems like, last year 10-2 was the target number to get you in. If you're a 10-2 Power 4 team, you were in the playoff basically, at least in the SEC and the Big Ten, right? And that's what's important in IU's context, right? And they're in great position to be 10-2. They all of a sudden have a really tough road game in College Park, Maryland. So now we have a few more big games than what we anticipate going into the year. But I think they're very well positioned. Also, considering we took 2 of Maryland's best players in the offseason, I think it really bodes well for us, and especially in that game. Penn State looks very beatable. The computers say the same thing. Oddly enough, they have us as a basically 50-50 shot on the road, which means they like us as a better team on a neutral field and at home. I think that says a lot. And the eye test obviously points to that. They don't use Aller correctly. They need to throw it downfield more with him. I don't know what the issue is, whether it's pass pro, whatever it could be. I don't watch Penn State close enough. I really only watch that Oregon game. So it's hard to really point out problems when you're playing Oregon because they're just going to create a bunch that probably don't exist in every week in a week-to-week basis because they're so talented. And then obviously, if you're feeling any bit of confidence going into an Oregon game in Autzen, that place is nuts. Top 10 environment in college football. If you have any sort of confidence going into it, I think you're a good team. You're in a good spot. And I think they're John and our OG listener on the first show, first commenter, first donator. He's been screaming from the rooftops for 12-0, and the more weeks go on, from what I've seen him in the first 5 games, John, you're not completely off. Like that is a real possibility with this team, and I think that's just exciting. Whether or not it happens or not, the fact that you can picture it and see it happening is an unfathomable concept for us IU fans, and I think it's just important. I've said it a lot on the last show. Just enjoy the journey because it's just, I wouldn't get so caught up in all the other stuff. Just enjoy the games. Appreciate that we have a contender. Win or lose, stick by them because they'll bounce back. They'll figure it out. And I would love to see 12-0. I think it's a real possibility.
I don't even have anything to add to what you guys just said. So I think that's the perfect place to wrap it up. This was the bye-week extravaganza. First time doing double guests on a show, I believe, which is insane. Jamie Jordan, Hoosier Huddles, Jamie Jordan, IU Reactionaries, Jamie Jordan, second appearance on the show. Jamie, thank you so much for being on. We always appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah.
Of course. Jamie's article is coming out on Hoosier Huddle tomorrow. Definitely be on the lookout for that. You can follow him at Jamie Jordan. Follow the IU Reactionary at IU React, right?
Correct. Yes.
Hell yeah. And then obviously check out Hoosier Huddle. Sammy and the guys over at Hoosier Huddle do an awesome job. It's an awesome site that's been doing it forever, for long before we have, and for long before Indiana was good. So those guys have earned it, more than earned it. Jamie, appreciate you being on the show with us. You can follow us at the Voice of College Football, at Indiana at the Voice of College, or at Indiana VOCFB. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube. If you're watching on Sigs Inside Twitter account, hop on over to the YouTube, subscribe. Good stuff. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We will have no show this weekend. We'll be back next Tuesday to preview the Oregon Ducks. The Indiana Hoosiers are 5-0. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us this week. We'll see you next week. Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.